Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's the first edition of this ever upstairs in the men's basketball office here in the Shot and Seed Center. It's Chris Holtmann joining us. That's Bill Landis. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks for inviting us up for the first time. A nice little, I don't know if there's no fireplace in here. It feels like a fireside chat, but thanks for having us.
Yeah, we have a great wall there behind behind you there. But yeah, it's good to be with you guys. Good to have you up here.
When you get to late September, it feels early for basketball for me. I'm sure it doesn't for you.
Yeah.
When you start heading into the beginning of practice and this time of year, what's it like to be in your shoes?
You know, it's exciting. It's really about the work right now. It's really kind of about the quiet, lonely work of these next couple months here. You're building your team, and we've all had a chance to do that some this summer, but these next couple months are really, really important.
How, I guess it goes without saying, but how much more important is it when you look at your roster and there are three guys who played for you last year on the team right now? I actually want to ask you a trivia question because you had, there were, I believe it was 6,450 minutes that were available for your team last year. Do you know how many of those minutes you have back?
Oh my goodness!
We don't usually do trivia on the show.
There were 6,000 that left.
There were 6,000 total available to your team last year. How many of those do you have? Or a little more than 6,000?
A couple hundred. I don't know.
So it's 1,000. It was more than I thought.
Yeah,
because Zed played a lot and Gene played a lot.
He did.
And
we basically had a kind of a part-time starter started towards the end of the year in Gene Brown. And then a starter for most, if not all, the season in Zed. That is more than I thought. I would have guessed 400 or 500, but it was 1,000, huh?
Yeah, but less than 20%. So it's basically a brand new team, which I get back to my original point. How much more important is the last few months and then this time of year now to kind of get to know the new roster that you have? It's
really important. I've never experienced this as a coach where you have we knew we were going to have a big graduating class. So we knew that's why we got a big freshman class. We knew there was going to be just some normal turnover that happens from guys matriculating, graduating. We also knew EJ was probably going to professionalize and go to the NBA. We did not anticipate Malachi, obviously, when you set things up. But I've never experienced anything like this, and it's really, really critical. And I think what you're trying to do as a coach is, as we get through these next few weeks, is figure out, are there things that kind of unforeseen things. Inexperience provides a lot of things that, it's hard to see until you get into games. And we're trying to maybe anticipate some of those things.
How much of that do you think you sort of already have in your mind what it's going to look like? You can have some summer workouts and at least a little bit of contact with the team and get them in on campus. And then how much of this is really you feel like going to fumble around for a few weeks until you put your finger on it?
I think it's going to be both. The Bahamas, Austin, helped. It did help a little bit because we were playing teams that were older, mature, and they had some talent. They had some, but they weren't Big Ten teams. Last few years, the Big Ten has been the deepest league in the country. Whether it's been the best or not, who knows? But it's definitely been the deepest.
Right.
It's been the deepest basketball league in the country, and no one can debate that. So while it wasn't that, it was still, good competition. So we got to see a few of those things. So, fumbling is probably a good way to put it.
I don't think anybody likes to hear that word used, but sometimes that's apt, right?
It's going to be there's going to be some of those things that come up and we're like, whether it's the emotion of kids playing in real games for the first time, and we're going to be like, what in the world? Where did that come from? Like, what are they doing? It's just going to be some of those things. Hopefully we can get to a point to where, we work through those things quickly.
I'm wondering about the dynamics of that because you have three guys sort of returning in Zed and Gene and Justice. So I guess we'll talk about him more specifically in a second. But guys who have played important roles on this team before. You have transfers coming in, and I think whenever a transfer comes in, they expect, well, I'm going to have a big role when I go to a new place.
Yeah.
And then you have this really good recruiting class, so I'm sure all in their head too. They're like, I'm going to play a big role this year.
Yeah.
Can't play everybody. And I know these things maybe tend to figure themselves out on the fly, but as you go into this, like, how are you thinking about trying to manage all of that to figure out the right mix, but also, try to keep guys happy in an era where roster management is probably more difficult than ever.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's a constant thought, I think, in guys' minds and coaches' mind. You have to coach who you are. You have to coach to your convictions, and guys have to earn whatever they get. But you're also, we played Malachi early last year because we knew he gave us the best chance to maybe to grow as the season went on because of his young talent. So I think you're always thinking through those things. I think that's exciting. I do think because you don't have the offensive talent of an EJ, I think you are going to need more guys that can play a role offensively because we don't have that 19-point scorer.
Right.
We just don't. And I think, can Justice be a guy that can certainly be a double-figure scorer? Absolutely. But I think having more guys, getting more guys involved is going to have to be something that we do with this team for sure.
So there are going to be a lot of people who are watching this and saw some things that I said that were critical earlier in the year. I know that you and I had a conversation about that at the end of last season. So I don't want to, full disclosure for everyone out there. Like, we had some disagreements about that, but I'm coming at it from a different spot than you are, obviously, and I wasn't around the team on a day-to-day basis. When there are criticisms like mine or others about the team not going into a second weekend or, I think we've seen what you've built, and this is going to be a challenge this year. You've touched on that with the young roster. Like, how do you cope with that? Are there things that you wish people like me understood better about this job?
No, I get it, Austin. I do, and I think it's part of being in these positions, these high-profile positions that we're in, and being around the place that has kind of media attention that we do, particularly in that time of year in college basketball. It's obviously that's when people around here really are focusing. And you covered this program for a number of years, so I get it. Anytime but
also later tends to be because I stay busy through January a lot of times. So I get that part.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm confident in what we've done. I also recognize the hunger from our fan base for more. And I completely understand that. And while I think we've done good, and by all accounts, if you measure what we've done in our 4 years in the tournament, 5 years total, but really 4 years when you're talking about NCAA tournament, I think we've done good. We haven't done great. And I think what people want is great. What we want is great. And that's the challenge for us moving forward. And I think you can always look back and say, hey, are there things that we've done well? Well, there is. We've been consistently in the tournament. It's us, Michigan State, and Michigan, the only programs that have kind of been there or would have qualified every 5 years. It's been good. It's not been great. We want great, and that's what we're pushing for.
I feel like the best jobs that you've done have been when you've exceeded expectations and nobody really thought pick you 7th or 8th or 9th in the league, and you've overachieved with those. And then maybe that's where the criticism comes in when the expectations are greater.
Sure.
Those are tougher also to exceed. But so this could be an interesting year. Maybe do you like the dynamic of playing the underdog or going through the uncertainty? Because from my seat, that seems to have been when you've maximized the most out of a season.
Yeah, well, both have their strengths. I'll take having EJ back for another year.
Sure, yeah, okay.
And maybe be picked a little bit higher than what we will in the preseason. But I think both have its challenges. I do think there are plenty of questions about this group. And, and I get that. And, the other thing that, you realize when you're in this job is I followed the best run, at least in the modern area of Ohio State basketball, during the middle of Thad's run. Mm-hmm. So when you follow the best run, right, what are you going to immediately be compared to? Is that recent history? Yeah, there was obviously some good teams in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but not clearly that run. And there were some tough years as well. So I think I'm just really excited about what we certainly have some challenges, but we have young talent that I think our fans are going to really enjoy watching. can we keep them, grow them, develop them, get them better every year? You know, I think those are the challenges in front of us. Recruiting has never been better. So there's some really exciting things, but it's about the work right now.
I want to ask you about some individual players on this roster. We'll start with Justice. Like, where is he health-wise at the moment as you guys get ready for camp?
He's good. You know, he's been good, Bill. He's shown glimpses of what he can be. I don't think anybody's ever questioned his talent, his ability, right? He's shown the ability to really perform at a high level. And particularly the last part, I thought maybe some of his best games were when he was injured in the Big Ten tournament through the Big Ten championship game a couple years ago. So we really missed him last year. You know, you think about him and Dwayne being on that team, and it gives us some really exciting possibilities. But we really missed what he brought. I think he's a little nervous because he just is so like, you know, he just wants to be healthy, and he wants to stay healthy the whole year. But he's healthy now, and that's exciting.
You have 3 transfers, Sean McNeil from West Virginia, Tanner Holden from Wright State, and Ice Likely from Oklahoma State, who I think has one of the more unique games I've seen out of a college basketball player. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but he reminds me in some ways of Jayshawn Tate a little bit. Maybe Jayshawn's more explosive. You can tell me the differences. But just in terms of all the different ways they're able to impact a game, I feel like Ice has that. How do you plan on, I guess, trying to utilize all his various skill sets this year?
Yeah, we've talked about that comparison. Matter of fact, we talked about that comparison here today. They're a little bit different, and I think probably JT might have had a little bit more of explosiveness. Ice's ball skills are really, really unique. Isaac's ball skills are tremendous. You know, he's 1,000-point scorer at Oklahoma State, but he's also been one of the guys who he can rebound it, and he's a high assist rate guy. So you add that with his defense, we felt like it was too hard to pass up. Now, we had conversations among our staff about, hey, do we go get another big guy? And we went back and forth. But I really felt like we needed toughness and leadership and versatility, and he provides all of those things. I'm really excited about what he can be. But he's going to struggle some nights offensively with the way teams are going to play him. Tanner, I think, is going to grow as the season goes on. Yeah. And he's obviously got 2 years with us, and I'm really excited about what he can bring. He's a good athlete, you know, played football in high school. He's just a good athlete, and it's going to provide a lot for our team. And then Sean, we badly needed shooting and skill with the loss of Malachi on the perimeter, and we didn't want to put it all on our freshmen. And Sean's a proven 12 points a game scorer at West Virginia, so that gives us shooting that we badly needed.
Bill, did you have more that you needed to know before I start asking about his sweet tooth and the candy that's everywhere?
I do. I guess this isn't so much a question as me seeking a little bit of help here, because I understand that the Kingdom Summer League is not the Big Ten. Yes. It's a good run, but it's not the Big Ten. But it's hard not to notice when a guy like Bryce Sensible scores 50 points in a setting like that. And you watch his high school tape, he has such a knack for scoring the basketball. I realize he's jumping up a level. So I guess what I'm asking you is to temper my expectations for a kid like that, because I look at him and think like, man, he could be a real problem almost right away.
He's probably not going to get 50 in a game this year.
I don't think that,
Yeah, you're smart enough to, you've watched enough college
He's been saying it for weeks.
To know that.
It's his bold prediction for the season.
He's going to average 50.
That's right. That's right. Now, if he gets 50 in a January game on the road in the Big Ten, I mean, bring this audio and video back right in my face.
Then you might not be getting a second year out of that either.
That's right. You know, he's really gifted offensively, Bill. He really is. He's really gifted offensively. Although I did have to remind them in a few of our skill workouts post the 50-point effort, this is not the Kingdom League. Like what we're doing, it's not the Kingdom League, okay? Like you're going to get, guarded here. And I love our guys playing in that, but we did have to remind them. And he kind of looked at me a couple of times like, he's really gifted offensively. And just I think he's going to be we have a bunch of guys that I think our fans, as they watch him, are going to be like, man, he's fun to watch. Bryce is 6'6", 240 pounds. wait till you see how he moves. And he really can shoot it, and he's not afraid of big moments. He's going to have some nights where he might go 1 of 10. But we're going to want him to shoot that, 12th shot or 11th shot, because he's just got a natural ability to get offense off like maybe nobody else we have.
So since this is the first time I was in here, I wasn't aware that you had a sugar weakness.
I do.
All sugar? Which sugar is the best sugar?
Donuts.
Okay.
Any type of bread. So, any type of bread I'm down for, whenever. Carbs are a real issue. Sugar's a real issue. Now that's more for recruits. But if you were to go sit behind my desk there, Austin, and pull out the bottom drawer, you'll see a brand. You'll see where my weakness is.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've got a problem, and I went 5 days without sugar.
Oh boy.
And I don't ever want to do that again. Okay. I just don't ever want to do it again. But I did it here this off season. So
5 is the limit.
that's about all I could do. Yeah. I don't think my wife wanted to be around me. My daughter didn't want to be around me. 5 days was plenty.
I love that. I can respect it. Anything else, Bill, or should we let Chris go about his day?
I could talk about bread for hours, but I think we'll probably let you go.
Your favorite pizza spot, right?
That's right, yeah. You go to Buckeye Donuts a lot? Or?
I've went to Buckeye Donuts a few times, and they're great. Buckeye Donuts is great. Tim Hortons, great,
It's a good spot to be if you have a donut addiction.
You teed it up. What is your best pizza spot, Chris? Jeremy wants to know, or Berm as we call him, about Buckeyes on the Blacktop.
Yes. It's Buckeyes on the Blacktop. Thank you for that. We're going to do it here real soon. And I don't even actually have the date because I've got an event that night. But it's going to be a fun kind of way for our students to get around our players, get to know our players. That's the biggest thing we're trying right now. I brought our social media team in last week and said, hey, let's continue to get our new players in front. Because I recognize one of the things about college basketball that's different, and you guys know this because you've covered the sport, people try to compare it to some of the other sports like college football because they're two higher profile sports. They're just different because there's been more movement in college basketball in the last 5 to 10 years. There's just been more transfers, but also the one and done era. Kids professionalize earlier. So I think getting our current players, just getting our fans involved with them is going to be great because I think they're going to really enjoy getting to know these guys.
Well, we'll carve out some time. They can come on the podcast daily whenever they want once basketball starts. And hey, Zoom has actually helped us for that as well. It's easier to get to the players. So that'll be a standing offer for your program. We appreciate you having us in here for a chat here as your season ramps up.
Yeah, thanks for the coverage. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. For Chris Holtmann, that's Bill. I'm Austin. We'll see you next time on the podcast.